All right, so I'm thinking that this side is the mouth, but he's in the defensive mode.
You know, before making this video, I didn't even know that these things were real. I had no idea there was a creature roaming the earth that people called a bloodworm. Can we please focus on canceling these things because I don't want them in my life? Right when you hear the name, you know that you never need to encounter one of these. You know that if you never encountered one in your whole life, that you would be fine. There's never a moment where you're like, wow, I wish I had some more bloodworms with me right now. But the question is, what are these things? And now that I have done my research, it's time for me to teach you. I am, of course, your host, Chad Arena. This is Most Amazing Top 10, and you are the Most Amazing Top 10 family. And for today's list, we are going to be counting down the top 10 scary bloodworm facts. If you guys are loving what we make here and want more, you should head over to our Instagram and Facebook pages because we have even more stuff over there. We post dates for new videos, we have contests for different things, and there's a ton of stuff for you guys to see. And make sure you stick around until the end of this video because I'm going to be doing some more pet shoutouts, which you guys love so much. Remember, if you want me to shout out your pet, you can hit me up on Instagram. And without taking any longer, let's get into this list. At number 10, we have their homes. Do you like walking around the beach during low tide? Well, you might want to bring some shoes because these guys are waiting for you. I'm just kidding. You don't have to be afraid of these guys. They aren't going to leap out of the sand and infest your body like a face hugger from the Alien movies. But the shallow pools after low tide are typically where you can find these creatures. They like damp sand and they will burrow down into the sand itself. One of the most popular places people will go in search of bloodworms is off the coast of Maine. There are massive populations of these little dudes all over that place and people will go out hunting for them. Now, why would people want to go to find these horrible beasts? Well, you'll have to go through the rest of this list to learn that they're actually not that horrific, but they are very cool. Coming in at number 9, we have the MOOLA. Bloodworms are actually worth a decent amount of money. So much so that people spend days going through muddy areas and digging through the dirt and filling up buckets full of bloodworms to take them in for some good cash. I don't know if I'm cut out for that life. I think I would rather stay home taking naps in between episodes of my favorite cartoons while some other people are digging through the mud. But the reason that these critters are able to pull in so much cash is because fish love them. Fish eat these things like hotcakes, so fishermen will pay top dollar to have a bucket full of them.
Kind of quick, really going down in that clay. Right.
There's a whole bloodworm economy. In fact, with the stock market crashing and the marinas being one of the first things they're going to reopen post-pandemic, this seems like a much more stable job than a lot of the other things people have been doing. Coming in at number 8, we have their names. Now, how did this insect get the name bloodworm? Do they burrow into your arm and then start sucking your life force out? Do they spit out a blood red fluid that can melt through your skin? No, the answer is actually not as exciting as the things I just mentioned. It's actually due to their skin. See, bloodworms have a very pale skin that is basically see-through. I'm sure you've seen a ton of other animals in the world like this where you can see right into their bodies. Whoa, you haven't? Well, that's because there are very few creatures like this. And when you look into the bloodworm's pale skin, you can actually see a red fluid, and that houses all of its insides that are moving around in its body. It would be like if someone could see your veins through your skin pumping all your blood. Coming in at number 7, we have their marine species. Here's some good news about bloodworms if this list has sprung a new fear in you that you didn't know you had. You don't have to worry about them infecting your tap water or climbing out of the toilet and biting you in a place you never wanted to be bitten. They are actually a marine animal. They have to be in salt water if they want to live. If you expose these worms to fresh water for too long, they will die very quickly. But if you are someone who likes playing around in the mud next to the ocean for some strange reason, then you should be careful because you have pretty high risk of coming in contact with one of these things. Coming in at number 6, we have their neighbors. Let's say you decide that all of your previous jobs stunk and now you're going to spend your days hunting for bloodworms and selling them to the highest bidder. It might not be the cleanest life, but hey, it's a living. Well, you have to be on the lookout for some of the other species that will be living around the bloodworms. Bloodworms share their environment with sandworms, which are an even bigger type of mud-dwelling worm that packs a serious bite. And if that wasn't creepy enough for you, you might also find tapeworms. You know those things that make their home in your intestines and then they start to feed off everything you eat and you slowly get weaker until you die? Yeah, those things are next door neighbors with the bloodworms. So if you are in search of them, you might want to not bring your lunch with you. You wouldn't want some strange visitor jumping into your sandwich. Coming at number 5, we have one shot at love. When bloodworms want to make some more bloodworms, they only have one shot at it. There's no dating for 6 months and then meeting the parents parents and then getting married and then getting divorced and then a drunk text at 2 a.m. No, it's ride or die for the one you love. Oh, and believe me, they will die. When mating season rolls around for bloodworms, they get the signal that it's time to do the dance that will determine the future of their whole species. The male and female worms go through a transformation stage, changing from feeding worms into mating worms. And once this happens, there is no going back. They will swim their way to the surface and both sexes will release gametes, and that's it. The worms then die off and hope that their love dance was successful. I mean, it doesn't sound like a bad life. Coming in at number 4, we have retractable heads. You don't normally think worms have heads. They just kind of look like a whole body that moves around and slinks on the floor and generally is slimy all the time. But let me tell you that this guy definitely has a head. There's an opening at the front of the bloodworm that will shoot out a 4-pronged head that it can suck back into its body. Remember before when I said it's not like the movie Alien? Well, this is kind of like the movie Alien. You know how they shoot out the smaller mouth out of the big mouth and then it rips your throat out? Yeah, this is like that, but very, very small, slower, and much less frightening. Also, none of this takes place in space, so it's inherently less cool, but still very interesting. Now, why do they do this? Well, it's a feeding technique. This is how they are able to get the drop on their prey. The head comes out so fast that they can consume small sea creatures that are hiding in the mud. Which rolls right into my next point. At number 3, we have metal teeth. Wait, what? How could something so small have teeth made out of metal? Was it made in a lab? Did aliens come down to Earth and leave them to devour our whole species after we die? Were they a rapper from 2008? Well, no, this is just evolution, baby. The bloodworm actually has 4 metal teeth that it will use when it shoots its head out. They act as a docking system for whatever the creature is getting attached to.
There it is. Okay, take a look at that. He's trying to pull it back in now. That's his weapon. He's got pinchers on that, and boy, do they hurt.
The teeth will clamp down, and then the bloodworm will use its secret weapon, which of course rolls into my next point. Coming in at number 2, we have venom. That's right, these little dudes have venom and they can inject it into you when they chomp down with their 4 metal teeth. Now, while hunting, they will use this venom to disable their prey. When a small creature gets hit with this toxin, it can act as a paralyzing agent and stop that prey from escaping. The bloodworm can then have its feast, slowly sucking in the guts of its chosen victim and drinking it down like a cold drink on a hot day. Although, come to think of it, it would be the opposite of that. These things live in the mud and they're attacking something that's alive, so it would be more like a hot drink on a cold day. Now, what does this venom mean for humans? Will it have the same paralyzing effect and leave you face down in the mud with no hope of being rescued? Well, not exactly. The venom is very close to the venom that you see in a bee sting, so you shouldn't have anything happen to you unless you're allergic to bees. If you are, then you're in for some trouble. If you have an allergy to bee stings and you get bit by a bloodworm, then you will have similar effects and you should be rushed to a hospital immediately. Something very interesting about bloodworm venom is that it has a very similar structure to the venom that is found in the barb of a platypus. Who knew that these two very random creatures would have something in common? And coming in at the number 1 spot, we have they can regrow body parts. They can't be killed. You can just keep shooting them, but they regenerate. They're like a hydra or something. Well, that's just me overreacting, but they can regrow some of their body parts. This is a skill that a lot of worms have. You can cut off some of their body and they will regenerate it right back. Now, how are bloodworms and other worms able to do this so well? Well, worms have way more stem cells on their body. They are literally covered in them. So when they lose a piece of their body, those stem cells activate and start growing back what they've lost. Now, bloodworms aren't the best of all the worms at growing back body parts. Some worms don't even need a head and they can regenerate the rest of their body back. But bloodworms can grow back anything that isn't a vital organ. All right, everyone, that has been our list, and as promised, I'm going to be doing some more pet shoutouts. Remember, if you want me to shout out your pet, you can hit me up on Instagram. I pick new pets every day, so if you don't get picked one day, you can message back another day. If it takes me a little while to get back to you, I am very sorry. I have a lot of these to do, and without taking any longer, let's shout out some pets. First off, we have Drew, who is the cutest little guinea pig I've ever seen. Then we have Braxton, who's snoozing the day away. That is great. After that, we have Chance, who is to be the smallest, cutest puppy I have ever seen. Next up, we have this dog who is vibing so hard. I think a dog with a sleep mask on has to be someone's spirit animal. And to close it out, we have the cat Gobelino. That is such a cool name. You put a lot of work into that one. I don't think I'm ever going to meet another cat named Gobelino. All right, everyone, that is all we have for you today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, I would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Until next time, I have been your host, Jay Durana, and watch out for bloodworms. Bye.